This video is sponsored by the Pokemon TCG deck building website PokemonCard.io. Are you looking for sealed product and singles? You can find it all on Channel Fireball. Please use my Tailmon affiliate code when checking out to help support my content. Looking for PTGO codes? Poton Store has all the latest sets and promos, instantly delivered to your email. You can use Tailmon code when checking out for 5% off. If you're from Europe, Millipots Gaming has a wide array of sealed products, singles, and more. You can use Tailmon code when checking out for 5% off. Card Market is Europe's largest online marketplace for Pokemon cards. Whether you're looking for sealed product or singles, vintage or the latest sets, just follow the link in the description to find what you need. Want to show off your love for Tablemon? Check out my 2021 merch. These new hoodies and shirts are available on Amazon. Click on the link in the description to get yours. Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video. I'm back from my break, so this is the first video I'm recording after my break, and I decided I wanted to play the Limitless tournaments once again to try and get those last 2 points that I was missing to qualify to the Invitational. Finally, I was able to do it, and you're going to see the series of 8 rounds that I had to go through playing this TRASHAPULT deck with my brand new shiny Dragapult from Poton Store. So yeah, I don't know, like I came back and yesterday I recorded a video, and the first Marnie that I got played against me, I posted the images on Twitter and Facebook. Like, I don't know, I don't know. I'm feeling way better now. I was definitely not at my best, and I'm sure a lot of you noticed. Throughout the videos, 50 keys, 50 decks will start very soon. It should be starting on the 1st of May. So I will be going through that, but I want to show the games today, and I will be talking over them this time, right? Since the games didn't last very long. I will be talking over them for the most part, and maybe I'll be able to notice areas of improvement, right? But overall, you'll see that even in expanded, Marnie did its thing, and I don't know. I had some really intense, tough games because I whiffed some of the very basic things like turn 1 energy drops or turn 1 Dragapult, things like that. But it allowed for some interesting, cool, like really close and intense situations, and that means that I don't know, those games are always exciting, right? And I was always on the edge of my seat, especially in the last round. But no spoilers, let's jump into the games. Alright, so this is game 1. Yeah, we'll see what happens here. I believe this was against Ultra Necrozma. No guard though, it had Octillery. And so I won the coin flip. I believe I chose to go second, just to give myself a chance to set up, but then my hand obviously wasn't too great. My opponent, like I had no chance to donk, but I felt like this was a little safer unless my opponent played a Silent Lab, which they did, so now my treasure for Lele was useless. I debated on playing the Enhanced Hammer to get rid of the energy, but then I decided to attach to a bench, because if the active took damage, then the energy would just be discarded, right? Now, with the Beast energy and the potential Muscle Band that I saw in my opponent's deck list, my opponent could actually knock out my Dragapult here. And that meant that he only had one Pokemon, and now I just win, right? You'll see me like even hesitate, like, is this for real? No. Okay, well, like in my mind I was hesitating, like the whole time I was searching for Dragapult. I was like, is this real? Then in game 2 I started the recording a little late. This was the mirror match, and I did end up losing this round. As you can see, my turn 1 wasn't very good, and we're about to see the trademark Tablemon Marnie, right, which completely destroys me, right? I already whiffed Dragapult plus attachment on turn 1. The Dragapult like maybe helps. If I got rid of the energy there, maybe that would have helped, but none of those things happen, and at this point I'm pretty sure I've lost the game unless I get a fantastic top deck. It's not, I'm just gonna concede. Right now, fun fact, my opponent beat me, and then they lost the next 2 rounds, and then they immediately dropped. So all they did this in this tournament was beat me, eliminate my chance of top card, and then just left the game basically. And they were playing the list that won the last Limitless tournament, I believe. So I place the damage on the Dragapult, I promote the Lele since I do have the Floatstone, and then I top deck Lele, right? Which allows me to just go all out with the Juniper. I'm hoping for a response with a Dragapult that would actually be pretty good, but then I completely whiffed the energy. And I distinctly remember being like, oh my gosh, this really sucks, and the next turn I'm gonna get rid of all these trainers, so I just conceded because I didn't want to be bothered, and I honestly was raging a little bit. Now, next up I was against not Tina Chomp, as you would imagine, right? This was just a pure Goznaga deck. That was the focus of the deck. So I let one Dragapult take a hit, and then I powered up the other one, and I believe they did have enough item cards there to where all I needed was the Trash Challenge to take the return KO and put myself in a really, really good spot. I was able to find it, and here I'm just trying to thin the deck, establish another Garbiter in case I'm missing something and they can KO me, which I don't believe they could, but just in case, it's never a bad idea to play it extra safe. And I'm sitting really pretty here, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, so how do I win this game? I just need to knock out that other dude, right? The other Goznaga. So all I need is enough item cards and the Guzma. And with this hand, I definitely won't be able to like win this turn unless I dig for it, right? So I'm not 100% sure and how to go about it. Then I decide that Crobat and keeping the Juniper just in case to prevent that I'm dead drawing, right? I could have gone for the full Crobat for 6 by attaching the energy. I decided to play it extra safe and do that, you know? And so I am able to do that. Then I find the Guzma. I go after that guy, and I did that, as you can see my opponent said, nice BM. I did that because I whiffed the Field Blower or the Muscle Band to get the KO, right? My opponent had 15 item cards and his Nagagoss had 320 HP, I believe. But then my opponent said nice BM, thinking that I was BMing him after the computer search, not going for the Guzma, when in reality I didn't have knockout. I was just trying to put that guy at 2 damage counters away from being KO'd, right? And hard to retreat, obviously, so I could be in a fairly good spot overall, right, to close out the game and not make myself vulnerable to an N-1. But then my opponent took that as BM. He hadn't even checked his own discard pile, so that's on him, right? So now I'm up against a Malamar VMAX deck, which is obviously pretty threatening because I am weak, but I do have the Enhanced Hammers, which I very luckily found that first one early on. They have one card in hand, and I'm pretty sure it's a supporter of some sort, but I have the turn 2 Dragapult. I can pressure. I am sort of dead drawing now. So I decide that Wolfhead, like I could have saved that treasure for Lele, but I decided that slowing their abilities with Wolfhead was good. And looking at their list, that one card in hand, if it was either Dedenne or Crobat, I would have loved them, right? But they played 2 Ents, 2 Ace Trainers, and 1 Juniper. So the chance of that being N was actually high. So I put myself in a dead draw situation on purpose because the chance of my opponent also dead drawing were fairly good. And they didn't play Field Blower. So locking abilities was my priority. That way they wouldn't be able to power up other than manually. The Malamar VMAX, the Electro GX wasn't going to come into play. And I was able to very luckily find my last Flowstone because the 4th one was priced, and I was able to eliminate that Wolfhead. Now, I realized there that putting all 5 damage counters on the Bolter was actually pretty dumb, right? Because I don't have access to Guzma, and I decided that it's okay to just Juniper away. And Lele is definitely my backup attacker right here, and now I decide to put all the damage on the Malamar VMAX, which is looking a little bit threatening. I do have another Enhanced Hammer to try and delay the attack, but I know that after I knock out this Malamar VMAX, my opponent will be very hard pressed to power up anything else, right? So as long as I can follow this up with Tapu Lele, even if my opponent attacks me, I should be good to go. I find my energy, I find my Muscle Band, and I'm feeling pretty confident that I can, like I even double check the HP of the Malamar VMAX to make sure that I can take this knockout, and I do, right? I do have knockout on the active. It would take quite a bit for my opponent to power up something else. They benched the Dedenne, I don't know why, but they do bench the Dedenne. Maybe they forgot about the Garbodor. That's okay. They do find the energy. They do take the knockout. And the card they decide to put at the bottom of my deck is the Dragapult, which is fine. I have the Quick Ball, but all I needed there was to take the KO. That computer search is actually really good to just end my opponent down to a lower card hand. I'm not looking for anything myself, really, right? Other than perhaps establishing a Trash Challenge Dragapult. I thought about playing the other cards in my hand, but I figured I shouldn't. Or I don't know why I decided not to. I should have at least attached the energy. That would have simplified my life so much. But I was thinking about like the energy for retreating. In reality, I should have just attached the energy and played the floatstone on the... No, actually, the floatstone was from my prices. I definitely should have thinned, right? I definitely should have thinned and at the very least attached the energy. Because now, as you can see, if I had the energy on the Trash Challenge, I could have just won right there. My opponent definitely had enough item cards at that point, but then all I did was hit for 60, and that did open up a little bit of a possibility for my opponent, right? Especially with that Fava, they do get abilities back. However, they set up their own Garbodor, so they don't really have any abilities or anything to recover with that Stretcher, and they have a Ditto in their hand. I get a Guzma, so I know that now I have the game won as long as I just attacked it. Then I don't know why it took me this long to analyze this. I was figuring out if I wanted to play the Guzma, I guess. Or maybe this is when... No, actually this is when someone rang the doorbell in my house. So I had to run, get back. That's why I delayed that. And now, now I know my opponent's hand is a Ditto. They have the Compressor, so now I know I have the game won with this Guzma, right? I know I have the game won with this Guzma. So there we go. I decided to do as much damage as possible and on to the next round. Alright, so this is round 5, I believe. For round 5, I was up against Mad Party, and I was like, alright, this should be a fairly straightforward matchup. My opponent chose to go second for some reason. I actually have a playable hand. This is great, right? And they start the Dene. Dude, this is fantastic. Well, as I'm sure you'd expect, right? In good old Table 1 fashion, playing in Kaizo mode on TCG all the time, it's gonna get complicated and it's gonna get messy. So, straightforward turn for my opponent. Straightforward turn for my opponent, just doing Mad Party things. Obviously, they don't mind playing a ton of item cards because their Pokemon have so low HP. Anyways, get another Dragapult, so pretty good. And then I whiff. I whiff the attachment. You can see, I'm sure some of you noted like the mouse, right? Wiggling, that shows my exasperation. Oh my god, I am incapable of doing the very basic turn to Dragapult GX. But, not GX, sorry, Dragapult VMAX. But, oh well, I was like, okay. They start the Dene, they play one Floatstone. They might get a knockout or not. You just need one energy next turn and you're gonna be okay, right? It's gonna be okay, Paolo. You're gonna be fine. And if you don't bench other, like, stuff, right? Like avoiding benching the Lele throughout the game, then you're gonna force them to go through 2 Garbs and 2 Dragapult VMAXs. So that's the dream, right? But being behind one energy attachment, as you can see, something that happens on turn 1 will actually bring us to a very intense finale, right? So my opponent taking their time, they decide to play Guzma to KO the Trubbish rather than start with some damage on a Dragapult, which I think was a pretty smart choice. And all I need is energy. I don't even need the VMAX, though I would love to get the VMAX. I just play the Enhanced Hammer because why not? I do find the VMAX, I do find pieces of things, and I am sort of dead drawing now, so I figured, well, I'm gonna need to play the Crobat anyways, probably, and then off the Crobat, I get a pretty crappy draw. I get all the energies that I didn't get, but now my hand is dead. Thankfully, there are those double price turns that you get that allow you to sort of make a comeback with this deck. But obviously my hand isn't looking the best right now. Right? Obviously my hand is not looking the best right now. So I'm starting to think, okay, maybe my plan will be to try and target down one of the GX or V, like the Dene or Crobat that are on the bench. We shall see, right? We shall see. They get the energy, which is what you would expect. If I dedicate an energy to the Dragapult VMAX in the active, that does mean next turn I will not be able to use the second attack. But it's not the end of the world. I am able to eliminate the Bunnelby very nicely, and that 1 damage counter might have mattered on the Dene if it had 60 HP. It actually has 70, so it never came into play. But I was like, if it's gonna matter, if 1 damage counter is gonna matter anywhere, it's probably gonna be on the Dene. Now that I think about it, however, because I do play Muscle Band, the damage counter should have gone to the Dene GX. That way, with the Muscle Band, I could have taken that knockout. So in this spot, I know my Dragapult is very likely to just go down. However, with only 1 Flowstone, I'm starting to think that, okay, this actually could be really bad. If my opponent goes Guzma on the Crobat, then the Dragapult VMAX will be a very easy target for them. However, they do play the end, so that does give me a little breathing room, and even though my hand wasn't very good, my 8-card hand wasn't very good, this 3-card hand is actually better than my 8-card hand. So off of that Trainers Mail, they do manage to find their Flowstone, they do manage to find the energy as well off of the N25. So at some point, when they played the end, I was like, okay, maybe I have a chance, but then, like, of not dying, but then that didn't happen. So I figured, okay, obviously I would love to have more cards, but I think denying their resources is way better than denying, than having a ton of resources myself. And with the price card that I get here, and with my top deck, I can computer search for anything, and locking their abilities, like, it's 1 less card they don't get off of the Oranguru, but that's okay, right? That is actually okay. And so off of the N2 and their top deck, they do find the Trainer's Mail, they do have a Bunnelby, they do find the VS Seeker of the Trainer's Mail, so they are able to Sycamore. So I'm thinking that my plan next turn, it doesn't really matter if I get energy or not, but I'm gonna computer search for an N once again, right? To deny them resources, take the knockout on the Bunnelby, and then it's gonna come down to, can they get another attack off with their last Bunnelby off of an N2-3, right? It's gonna come down to that. So you can see I'm checking their discard pile, just taking note of what outs they had, and I feel like they had 1 Sycamore left, 1 VS Seeker left, and their Dowsing Machine as potential outs off of the N2-2, right? So that's what I'm looking into at that stage in the game. Perhaps attacking with TRASHAPULT would have been better than attacking with Dragapult to make my N more effective. I am able to top deck a VS Seeker, so I decide to use that instead of the computer search, and I decide to thin as well, right? I decide to thin as well the computer search away, find 2 very useless cards. I'm debating whether to play them or not. I decide it's not worth it. And they played Boss instead of Guzma, which didn't really matter, but can they deal 60 damage this turn? Even a Tapu Lele would have been able to deal 60 damage, and they did find the Dowsing Machine, and you can see I send them a sad face, right? They find their Sycamore, 3 cards left, they have 1 Bunnelby left, 1 Stretcher left, and apparently they were not able to find either card. So then they don't even bother retreating to something that can take the hit. All I need to do was attach and take the KO. So at that point we are 4-1, feeling pretty good. Take a look at my hand. I'm up against Pikarom. I win the coin flip, so that's good news. So I'm not getting donked. I have my top deck, and it's a very underwhelming top deck. So with the Chaotic Swell, I'm feeling safe-ish. My price is a Trubbish, which is not great, but I'm like, okay, next turn I have access to Dragapult VMAX. I can punish a high item usage on turn 2 as long as I don't get donked, right? All I need to do is to not get donked, and that's fine, right? Like, I'll be able to continue to survive, I guess. If they go crazy with their items, then I can maybe punish afterwards with the TRASHAPULT. They do find the Flowstone, which was arguably the hardest card, and now they're down to max elixirs or energy switches. They find the elixir, they do hit it, and that's gonna be it for me. Alright, so on to the last two rounds. I need to win the last two because I know my resistance is not very good, right? I know my resistance is not very good in order to bubble into top 32 at a 5-3 record, so I know 6-2 is the goal. Now, I discarded that Garbotoxin because Picrom usually invests its abilities early on. Apparently that N helped out my opponent. I'm like, okay, I whiffed energy. It's okay. I can just dead change for it, and then obviously the N is right. So I whiffed turn 1 energy once again on my Dragapult, and that ends up complicating pretty much everything. I decide that going into WOP to try and slow down my opponent is my best bet. They do have the Lele in their hand, though. They have the research. And that elixir was real surprising, but they did have the energy switch right there. So actually that was like, they had the perfect hand to counter my Wolfed, and now it's down. I have no energy attachment. I do have my own Lele, but that's okay. You can see me taking a look at my opponent's discard pile quite often, and that's because I'm keeping track of their energies. And then here I'm trying to decide whether it's worth it to deal damage with Dragapult or not onto the Tapu Koko. I figured it was. Even if I took 130 damage in return, I was like, well, maybe they can't get a return KO or return anything. I saved the Trubbish just to threaten the Garbotoxin, even though I know the other one is prized at this stage. I do decide to save the Trubbish for now, just in case, but then we see the Picrom. I'm keeping track of the items right there. And there's the energy switch, so now I know the full blitz is coming. So that's pretty scary, because if they power themselves up, then they could just threaten game, right? They could absolutely just threaten game by knocking out my poor Dragapult and Lele on the bench. So things are looking pretty scary. There's the Picrom fully powered up. And we'll see. We shall see what happens here. I honestly don't remember. That's why I'm a little bit hesitant to say anything else. They're continuing to go about their business. There you can see my mouse moving, like I'm counting how many items they have, and it was actually 11, right? I distinctly remember they had 11 item cards right there, so I needed either Field Blower or Muscle Band to get this KO. Get very excited when I got the Muscle Band. I didn't think I was going to get it because I only played 2, but I did find it, and they did commit 6 energies onto a Picrom. They're down their Coco Prism, they're down their Thunder Mountain, and this is looking mighty fine for me. Now obviously they have enough item cards to where I can take the KO, since they have played Quick Balls and other stuff, and they didn't play N, right? So now I have the Guzma to take down the other Picrom that they benched, that I don't understand why they benched it, but that's perfect, right? That is perfect. And even if they hadn't benched the Picrom, like it still might have been a little scary, but my play then would have been to go KO the active and then just end them down to 2 cards and probably just win the game in 2 turns. So their overcommitment to that Picrom ended up being super good for me, and after whiffing the turn 1 energy, I figured I was in trouble, but then they overextended on the item cards. They felt they were safe with 11 being 1 short of the knockout, but they did have a tool in play, and I did have Muscle Band. So I had 2 Field Blowers, a Muscle Band, and a Computer Search as an out to try and win the game that way, to dealing enough damage. And then in this last round, I was up against a deck that played no Sycamore. The only supporters they played were a Boss's Orders and 2 Ninja Boys. Okay, so this is a whole deck with amazing rare Kyogre, amazing rare Reshiram, and the Bird Trio. So I don't know, it was like, and they played like very few items in the beginning. It was just like a crazy game, honestly, and it shouldn't have been as close as it was, I feel, but it led for a very intense game, so you'll see. Yeah, my opponent just doing their thing, doing a lot of stuff, but without using a lot of ability. I mean, without a lot of item cards, so that's not great for me. I figured shutting off abilities was gonna be the way I won this, and by looking at my hand with only 1 Dragapult VMAX, I felt like playing N would have been better, but then I whiffed the Dragapult, right? So that's the 3rd game in a row that I've been keeping track that I whiffed the Dragapult, and now I got the Dragapult but not the energy, so I can't seem to catch a break in this video on finding Dragapult and energy on turn 1, which is pretty crazy. So now my damage output is going to be quite low, the Trubbish goes down, so I'm not very happy at this point. I'm not going to lie, I'm not very happy at this point. Showing off abilities, obviously good, but then I see that I've already discarded one Garbiter and the other one is prized, so I can't even show off abilities. So it's just everything that can go wrong is going wrong right now. At this point, I am in a little bit of the raging mode. I'm like, okay, nice, welcome back to tournaments, and I'm like, okay, I've gotten all the way to the 8th round, and I'm gonna lose because of this. Imagine if I had shut off abilities, they wouldn't have been able to play Lele, they wouldn't have been able to find a Ninja Boy, and they wouldn't have hit me with the bird trio that you're about to see, right? So it's like, because I had to discard the card early on, and the other one was prizes, I do play a 2-2 line, as you saw from the beginning of the video. Instead of taking 210 damage, I would have taken 80, maybe 100, and would have been perfectly fine. But instead, now I don't threaten the KO, I'm in a lot of trouble, they haven't played a ton of item cards, and I'm raging so much that I didn't even play down a Flowstone right there, which was definitely a mistake, right? No reason not to play the Flowstone. And even show that, look, I'm not going to show off your abilities, because the thing is prized. So I just hit, trying to debate where to put the damage. I don't think it ends up mattering in the end. I should have put like 3 damage counters on the hoe instead of all 5, and a few others spread out onto the Shuckle. But at this point, I can tell that I am letting my emotions take the better part of me, and making some not major but suboptimal plays, right? And then we see that Ninja Boy for Ninja Boy, which is really crazy, only 4 item cards. This card also, my trash challenge is not very good at this point. By evolving into a trash challenge though, I did manage to save it, otherwise the Trubbish could have just gone down. At this point, hitting me for I was real surprised, like there was no way for me to KO the bird trio, so I feel like my opponent didn't analyze the situation right there and they just played in automatic pilot. I definitely don't think putting back the bird trio was necessary right there, and so now at this stage I know that I need to N and hope, right? That is my only hope at this point. I need to N and hope, and then maybe I get the Garbiter of the prize card, so I decide to attach the Flowstone to the Trubbish. Not much I can do here other than attack, right? With the Muzzle Band I can at least 2-hit KO the Dedenne in case I whiff energy, but then my hand is now dead once again, other than the Quick Ball for Crobat, right? And I believe I did make a mistake next turn or something like that, I don't know. But it's getting really intense, right? And my opponent's down to 2 prizes, they have this field. If they just Ninja Boy, if they had Ninja Boy last turn and they Ninja Boy this turn, then they could have just hit me for 210, or actually didn't have the right energies to do that. They just hit me for 80, and they're gonna let me take 2 prize cards. They have 1 card in their hand, so I'm glad to see that. And I figured, okay, my plan to win this is probably going to be to go Guzma, so I'm going to Thin, and then I'm going to Colress to get a bunch of cards in my hand. There's the double Guzma, and my best bet is to establish 2 KOs that I can hopefully take, right, and win the game that way. So I do put the damage on the Dedenne. I do not find the Garbiter, so no ability locking for me. All they need is their boss's orders, right? A head flip off of the hoe, and then a boss's orders. But this is where we see my opponent's deck's weakness, where they rely solely on the Dedenne, Lele, and Crobat, and they have nothing else to draw cards with. Nothing else. 2 Ninja Boy, 1 boss. That's all their supporters. Like, not even Guzma, you know? They play 4 Bloodstone, but they don't even play Guzma. So I decide to Guzma up the Lele, and I'm counting their items, but now I know that, like, if they have Switch and Boss, I lose, or Flowstone and Boss, I lose. If not, I win. They use their Ranguru, they do find a Flowstone. I'm like, okay, here it comes, and it doesn't. So I'm really glad I'm able to close out this game and finally get my invites. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this first video. If you did, let me know so I can maybe do this more often, and I'll see you in our next video.